In the top stories, Vision 2020 walkthrough held in constituency number 1. Banks in Trinidad and Tobago respond to cash flow needs, and India hangs 4 men over 2012 Delhi bus gang rape and murder. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, March 20th, 2020. I'm your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Nationally, residents of constituency number 1 got the opportunity to interact with their parliamentary representative, Honorable Ian Liebert, and his cabinet colleagues as the government's prosperity walkthrough activities continued in Newtown on Thursday. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris spoke of the significance of hosting the walkthroughs in all constituencies.
The whole idea behind the walkthrough is to meet people where they're at, to hear from them, their concerns, their issues, and for the candidates and the government at large to take note and attempt to answer these. He
said all of the walkthroughs have been successful thus far. Parliamentary representative for East Bastia thanked all those who participated in the event. The walkthroughs fall under the government's 5th anniversary activities, guided by the theme Team Unity 2020, delivering a vision of prosperity through unprecedented peace and unparalleled leadership. In other news, officials from the Solid Waste Management Corporation were the special guests on Wednesday's edition of the radio and television program Working For You on ZIZ Radio. SWMC General Manager Keithley Phillip and Collections Manager at SWMC Ineta Lake were both the featured guests on the panel, who discussed the recently launched Smart Bin Distribution Program. Mr. Phillip used the opportunity to address concerns posed by members of the public who have been inquiring about the features that make the new bins smart. He said the bins are capable of collecting data for the benefit of the corporation.
They are smart only to the extent that they are able to capture data, real-time data as to whether or not your waste was collected. They are smart to the extent that and this is done by the RFID signal. As the trucks pass by, they would pick up the bin.
The general manager said that the features of the smart bins will help to locate bins that were stolen or moved out of place.
And this is interesting in that, and this will answer for the question that we have been hearing, that okay, someone is stealing my bin. I had a bin and someone stole my bin. Now, when the trucks pass by and the information is picked up from the bin, it says to us whether or not in real time this bin is out of place, because it would beep. And so we could always take the bin, check, scan the bin to find out where it actually belonged to and who would have moved it, and then we would pursue that differently. So the data is uploaded in real time to a computerized package system.
He explained that the new process of tracking the smart bins is in keeping with international standards of waste collecting and waste management. 60 bins were distributed in Stapleton, St. Peter's on Monday. A total of 12,000 standardized bins will be distributed to households across St. Kitts over the next 6 weeks. And as we wrap up, nationals working overseas at missions based in countries internationally have been advised to work from home for the time being. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, quote, owing to reports of the COVID-19 in some jurisdictions which host our missions, the ministry has decided to implement measures to protect our missions, staff and personnel. The work of our missions will continue, but all staff have been instructed to work from home until further notice, end quote. The statement said missions staff can still be reached using the established telephone numbers and email addresses available on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website at foreign.gov.kn. On the regional scene in Trinidad and Tobago, all local banks will be reducing their prime lending rate by at least 1.5% following the reduction in the repo rate by the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. The reduction will reduce the interest cost for all clients whose loans are repriced on prime. This is just one of the decisions that the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago has taken to respond to the business and economic impact of measures taken to limit the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Here's more.
The Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago BAT issued a statement saying the measures being taken are designed to provide cash flow relief to those customers who need it. In addition to the interest rate reduction by 1.5% for varying loan types applied to both individuals and business clients, some deferral of interest and/or principal payments will be considered by banks for at least 1 month for clients wishing to access this based on their circumstances being adversely impacted by the measures taken related to COVID-19. BAT added that consideration is also being given by banks to temporarily reduce the rates on credit card balances. The specifics of the changes will be communicated by individual banks to their respective customer base. The association said its focus is to assist customers, both business and individual, in meeting their critical, immediate and short-term needs to weather the global pandemic. It said each bank will customize and roll out the solutions to their individual clients. BAT said this country's financial services sector is very well capitalized, strong and geared to respond effectively to society in the circumstances posed by COVID-19. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
With the coronavirus impacting every country, the Canadian Embassy has cancelled its biometric processing in Grenada for the time being. Here's more.
Foreign Affairs Minister Peter David confirmed that the second round of biometric processing of Canadian visas in Grenada that was due to take place on Monday 23rd and Tuesday 24th March has been postponed. Minister Davis spoke about the changes in an exclusive interview with GBN on Tuesday.
Of course, the coronavirus has impacted everything, and as a result of that, the Embassy of Canada has indicated that they will no longer be coming to Grenada at the time indicated. Of course, the crowds that will be assembled, there would be a violation of our decision to have the social distancing required to fight the disease. So, unfortunately, the Canadians will not be coming. They have taken that decision, but it is a decision we support because we believe it is in keeping with our policy of trying to contain the virus by undergoing the social distancing.
Just over 4 months ago, Canadian officials were in Grenada conducting biometric processing for visas, where a number of Grenadians capitalized on the opportunity. This saved them the expense of travels to Trinidad, Barbados and other islands to obtain Canadian visas. Canada, as of Monday, March 16th, has confirmed 407 cases of the coronavirus. Presently, the country has closed its borders, restaurants and bars. According to officials here, Grenada has not yet recorded any case of the virus. Christina John, GBN News.
On the international scene, 4 men convicted of raping and murdering a student in India have been executed. They attacked a 23-year-old physiotherapy student on a bus in New Delhi in 2012, then left her to die on a road. Al Jazeera's Elizabeth Purnham reports.
It was the moment many Indians had been waiting for 7 years. And before dawn on Thursday, they counted down the seconds till the 4 convicts were hanged. No one in the country was more relieved than the parents of the victim. Because the law doesn't allow a rape victim to be named, the Indian media calls her Nirbhaya, that means the fearless one.
The crime that was committed against her is always going to cause me grief. But I am proud that if she were alive today, I'd be called a doctor's mother. And today I am proud that I brought her into this world. And now I am known as Nirbhaya's mother. I couldn't save her life, but fought to get her justice.
It's 7 years since Nirbhaya and a male friend were on a bus journey in Delhi. The 23-year-old physiotherapy student was gang raped by 6 men and her friend beaten before they were thrown out onto the side of a road. Their ordeal led to some of the biggest protests ever seen in India, with widespread demands for justice, not only for Nirbhaya, but better protection for all women. India is consistently ranked as one of the worst countries to be a woman. 6 men were arrested for the attack. One of them was found hanged in jail in 2013. Another, who was 17 at the time of the attack, was released after serving the maximum sentence of 3 years in a reform centre. The 4 remaining convicts were hanged on Thursday morning after they exhausted all of their mercy pleas.
This is not just a day for Nirbhaya, but for all women of this country. It is a day of justice and security.
Since Nirbhaya's attack, the government has introduced tougher laws against rape, such as the death sentence in cases when the victim dies. But rights groups say there is no evidence that the death penalty serves as a deterrent.
As a society and as a country, our gaze is being fixed on the gallows so that we look away from the very many other things which the state should have done to keep women safer and more free, and which the state has absolutely chosen not to do.
The number of reported rapes in India has increased by 34% since 2012. The gang rape and murder of an 8-year-old Kashmiri girl in 2018 and a 26-year-old in Hyderabad last year both led to further nationwide protests.
Women's rights activists say they are fighting a patriarchal system that blames victims. The government, they urge, needs to do more, starting with making public spaces safer for women and reforming the justice system, rather than passing tougher laws which they say don't work in deterring crimes. Elizabeth Puranam, Al Jazeera, New Delhi.
As Italy's death toll overtakes China, doctors reveal heartbreaking stories of patients dying alone. Here's more in this report.
Rome's deserted landmarks tell only part of the story of this pandemic. Now, with the world's highest official death toll from COVID-19, Italy's called in the army to help truck the bodies away from overflowing mortuaries. In this emergency ward, a video call with relatives helps a man recover from the disease. But doctors are distressed that many of their patients are denied a final farewell with loved ones.
The greatest problem that's emerging now is that patients can't be visited by their relatives, and often they die alone.
Health workers too are falling ill.
At the moment there are 8 doctors here, but only 2 are from this hospital. Unfortunately, the other 6 tested positive for coronavirus, and they've been replaced with an emergency backup team.
Chinese experts are in Italy to give advice on the draconian measures which are now bearing fruit in the city of Wuhan.
Your lockdown is not strict enough because public transport is still running. People are still moving around. You're still having dinners and parties in hotels, and you're not wearing masks.
Here in London, the government has shut down some of the rail network, but buses and most of the famous tube system is still running. Critics say the British response is similar to the action taken by Italy in the lead up to the crisis.
The Queen has made an early departure from Buckingham Palace for her regular Easter at Windsor Castle. She's urged people to come together and work as one, and said she was ready to play her part. Samantha Hawley, ABC News, London.
And now for the weather. Present weather is cloudy. A moderate breeze of 13 miles per hour is blowing from the north. Today's temperature will peak at 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are reaching 5 to 7 feet. That means small craft operators should continue to exercise caution. Expect partly cloudy skies with a moderate chance of showers today and tonight. Sunset today will be at 6:21 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 6:13 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.